that, as we get older, it really puts things into perspective. I just feel more like confident and sure in myself and, my womanhood. I feel much more content and confident.
Okay, content. I feel like that's a word that we don't hear people striving for a lot.
Mhm.
People, we want to be happy. You hear people saying, I want to be rich. You hear people saying, some of those other aspirational things, but you don't really hear people saying too much how they want to be content. Welcome to another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. I'm your host, Melly Clay, and thank you for joining me. So, we have a very special episode today. I'm getting into my guests' episodes. So, I will be talking with my very good friend, the Arie Iman. And actually, this is a treat because she was my very first episode back in 2022 when all of this started, and we just had a really amazing, interesting, fun conversation. And if you are new to Me in the Making and you have not listened to seasons 1 and 2 from before, I highly recommend going back and listening to Ari's episode. It's called There's No Shame in Shifting Your Mindset. And this is episode 1, right after the trailer. You can go back and listen to see kind of like where she came from to where she is now in our episode that we are about to have right now. So I want to welcome you all to the Arie Iman. Hey,
Hi,
Ari.
hey, girl.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited that we get to do this finally again and talk to you 3 years later. It's kind of wild to think that it was 3 years ago, over 3 years ago at this point. And like, what have you? Okay, well, let me start off with an icebreaker actually to kind of ease
Ooh,
us back
okay.
into ease us back into the interviewer interviewee conversation type situation.
Well, ease on
So
down then.
so what have you been watching lately that has been resonating with you?
Oh, that has been resonating with me. Man, I'm such a creature of habit. I rewatch a lot of things all the time. But I think that this is a good one. So I plan on rewatching it again this weekend, but the 30th anniversary of Waiting to Exhale recently passed, and that's one of my favorite movies. So that's definitely something that I rewatch over and over again. And every time that I watch it at a different point in my womanhood, if you will, I pick up on something different, or like I catch a line that they say that maybe didn't make sense to me or was just kind of like flip it before. And then, my all time favorite show is Grey's Anatomy. And I
I
also
like
think
how
that
you
that's,
I like how you
you
were
knew I
like
was coming.
Grey's Anatomy. Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Grey's Anatomy. Um, but I mean, I think that there are just like so many lessons to learn from that show, not just about being a woman, but just like life itself. So of course, as I rewatch the entire series every year, don't judge me, I also, resonate with that a lot.
Definitely no judgment here with rewatching things. I love rewatching shows, like comfort shows. And
Hmm.
so a couple themes that I was picking up on, the theme between Waiting to Exhale and Grey's Anatomy, you were mentioning womanhood and feeling like a woman. Like, what is it about that really kind of resonates with you? And you had mentioned this back in our previous episode 3 years ago. So I'm still
Yes.
seeing that theme. So I feel like that's you. That's who you are.
Yes, I'm a woman. Hear me roar. I think that. as we get older, and I feel like this is like history repeating itself from the previous episode, but as we get older and more life things start to happen, it really puts things into perspective. I mean, of course, the previous episode that we did was 3 years ago. I'm now 36. I'm in a completely different point in my life. And I would say that my perspective on a couple of things that we previously spoke about has definitely shifted. And I just feel more like confident and sure in myself and, my womanhood. I feel much more um, content and confident.
Okay, content. I feel like that's a word that we don't hear people striving for a lot.
Hmm.
People, we want to be happy. You hear people saying, I want to be rich. You hear people saying, some of those other aspirational things, but it's,
Yeah.
you don't really hear people saying too much how they want to be content. And
Hmm.
so speak more on that.
Yeah, I think that I'm naturally a person who is just always on the go, and not just physically, but like mentally. I'm always thinking about like, okay, what do I need to do next? And I have bought a house since the last time that we spoke. um,
Newsflash.
Newsflash! Um, I bought a house since the last time that we spoke. And I think with that in particular, always thinking about decorating, and it's like, okay, I need to clean, I need to do this. And I recently had my dad staying with me for a few weeks, and he said, I don't want you to get offended by this, but like, slow down. Every time I look up, you like running past, and you're doing something, you carrying
Mm,
something, and you setting up
mm.
something, and like, you're just always on the go. And in my mind, like, that just seems natural to me. Like, I don't think that there is ever really a time outside of me being like in REM sleep when I'm not thinking about something that I need to do, whether it's work related, personal, or anything. So, um, being content and being able to just like sit in my own thoughts and everything is a very welcomed feeling.
So is that, do you think you've always been like that? Like running around, always having your hand in something, spinning plates, everything. Is that something that you feel like you have always been like, or has this been a more recent development?
Excuse me. I think in my adult life, yes. And I would even say, in my adult life, once I got a car and like got my own apartment, of course, I was still moving around the way I saw fit when, I was on public transit or regularly taking Ubers and such. But I think once I got a car and like I was able to really move around the way that I wanted to, it's like, okay, yeah, nothing is going to stop me from doing what I need to do. And I'm also a person, and I'm working on this, but I don't really like to wait on people or ask for help. So like, if I do ask you and I feel like you're taking too long, I might as well just do it myself.
Ari, let people help you.
Oh, I know.
They want to help. So with all of that, how does you being content like work its way into that person, Ari, who's like, I'm on the go, I want to get these things done. I can do it myself, essentially.
Yeah, I think just like really taking the time and making a conscious effort to sit down. And sometimes if you don't sit down, then God and your body will tell you to.
That's true.
I just got over a case of walking pneumonia from last week, so
So it was walking pneumonia.
yeah, it
Oh
was.
wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
your body's like, slow down. So what is that? What does that, like communicate to you when you hear that, oh wow, that was walking pneumonia?
You know, just listening to my body. And I think now the walking pneumonia, there is something going. There's something going
Okay,
around.
okay.
So
So you're like,
I
it's not just me. There's something
yeah,
going around. Okay.
it's not just me, but I will say, like, even with me being sick, it's like, okay, it snowed outside. Now I need to shovel my snow, and I need to go shovel at my dad's house. And it's like I'm out there still trying to shovel snow and stuff. And it's like, girl, ask a man in your life or somebody like try to delegate some things. And shout out to our friend Brandy McHale, because she wrote a book called The Baddie Bylaws, and in that book she talks about like delegating your life where you're able to. And I think since I read that, I've been trying to be more conscious about delegating
Hmm.
things, because I won't call myself a DIY girly, but like I pretty much have always done my own hair, and like I can figure out how to do that. I'm that type of person. And in the past few years, I've been able to kind of like delegate things where I can. And of course, it needs to make sense financially and stuff. But like, I'm trying to do my best where if I don't need to call somebody, or if I do need to call somebody, then I will. If I'm able to do it, then sure. But I will say with that, sometimes I tend to put things off because I am trying to sit down, and then I end up on the go again because I feel like I'm behind. There's always like a thought or an idea that I'm behind, or
Mm.
I'm late, or behind the curve on something. So I think that's kind of where that on the go mentality comes from too.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. I can see that, especially being an American, like living in this country,
Hmm.
expectations that we have for ourselves growing up of like, oh, we should be married by this certain age, have a house by
Yep.
this age, have children by this age, you have a car by this age, graduate college by this age. Like we always have that mentality of checking off these boxes. And I think it's pretty radical to then say, actually, no. Like, actually, I will be doing this on my own timeline, and I will
Hmm.
like watch out for myself because I'm listening to my body. I'm figuring out like, oh, I don't have the wherewithal to be able to do this by myself. Maybe someone else can help me at this moment. And so I I'm just gonna sit and I'm gonna rest for a little bit.
Right.
So like you being sick recently, and I know that we're around the holidays right now and there's just it's cold outside, snow, the hustle and bustle and everything, like it's difficult to rest. But how have you been finding time to rest, and like what does your rest look like?
Mm. I would say rest for me, and I'm looking forward to this evening because I don't have any plans. But rest for me is probably just turning on my LED lights in my basement, lighting my hookah, turning on a nice little movie, or maybe I don't want to watch TV. Maybe I just want to listen to music and kind of scroll on my phone and just kind of like be with my own thoughts. I don't have to worry about like having to be anywhere or any type of deadline, or like I'm hanging out with this person tonight. It's just like enjoying my own company. That is my idea of like just sitting down somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. That just having that alone time, you might not be planning on being introspective, but
Hmm.
sometimes that's what happens if you're alone with your own thoughts. Like maybe you don't have the TV on, maybe there's some music and you're able to like zone out, and whatever you has been in the back of your mind throughout the week kind of comes to the forefront and you're able to work something out or just feel better about a situation earlier in the week that you weren't really too happy about before. Like,
Hmm.
I think that is something that we can practice when we are looking to feel that contentment of like, okay, let me slow down and not have to do 50, 11 things all at once, and I can just like chill and relax.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That's that's nice. It's the weekend is coming up when we are recording this. So, and this is a weekend for me where I don't have like many plans, which is
Many plans.
are you made a face? You don't believe me?
Melly is always on the go, y'all. Don't believe her when she says she don't have many plans.
Well, currently at this current stage, I don't have many plans. I'm just going to visit a friend tonight, but um currently I don't have many plans, so I do think that like sitting, resting, not doing much, especially right before the holidays,
Hmm.
is really gonna like help me to formulate like thinking about next year, like thinking about 2026, thinking about what are the things that I want to do like for the year and kind of like resting my brain. And by the time this episode comes out, it'll be a couple days before Christmas. So I hope when people are listening to this, they think about, oh yeah, where are the times that I can make the time to sit by myself and do nothing if possible. And then also remember that for when they are able to do that, because it'll be kind of crazy probably the next couple weeks after this
Hmm.
episode comes out. But I do think that we owe it to ourselves. And like you said, your body's going to make you sit down anyway. Especially we do have
Man.
these like COVID is still out there.
Hmm.
We, you don't want to think about it a lot, but it's still out there. Walking pneumonia, people getting sick, the flu. So these are just, some things to kind of think about. But you were talking about Brandy Nikhil, friend of the show, Dr. B, and yeah, the book that she wrote, Betty Bylaws, with delegation. Like, are there any other points, areas in your life where you are looking to delegate?
Who? Um, you know, I would say that by nature, I am hyper independent.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know if it is fully by nature. I think that in my high school years, I grew up with a single father. My parents got divorced when I was 14, and I stayed with my dad. We moved away, so it was just like me and him. And I think that he has always kind of instilled in me that, like, you know, dad got you, but you can also do it yourself. Like, you don't need nobody else. And of course that stayed with me into adulthood, and I think that's why I have that like on the go mentality, and like, okay, I'm not gonna wait for you, I'm just gonna do it. But um I say that to say that in the current relationship that I'm in, I have definitely been able to kind of like slow down and delegate, because he is very much, don't do that, I got you. Like, you not holding no doors, you're not taking out no trash, you're not holding no bags, like nothing. And it's really refreshing.
I love that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think, and this is not 100% this is how this always happens, but I do think that when people are hyper independent, it's hard for
Hmm.
others to know how to step in or how to help. Like, oh, Melissa, she got it. Like I think
Yeah.
about it for myself when I'm going to the airport. Like, I remember having friends um, at this church that I used to go to, and when they would go back and forth to the airport, they'll be like, "Oh, so and so is picking me up from the airport. So and so's dropping me off," and I'm thinking, "Oh, people get dropped off at the airport." Like for me, I'm taking the CTA or I'm taking an
Yeah.
Uber or something. Like it never dawned on me to even ask someone to drop me off or pick me up. And I'm like, and I was having these internal thoughts like, no one has asked me to pick me up or drop me off or whatever. And then I was like, but those people probably asked, like the first time that they needed it, they probably asked. And then that person
Hmm.
kind of knows, oh, so and so's going on a trip. I have a car. Like, let me see if I can pick him up. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of open the door to allow people to ask you to help because you first
Exactly.
asked to be helped. So that's something that I try to remember for myself, not necessarily going to the airport, but with other things in my life, like, oh, I guess I can ask. And I've gotten better at asking, but
Hmm.
it's typically been around like when I'm working, I'll ask. Like, I'm quick to delegate my
Yeah.
job and work and things like that. But I think when it comes to my personal life, I haven't really been asking for things as much. And that's a good note. I'm gonna take that away with me, Ari, and like think more about how can I ask for more help in my personal life, because then people, it kind of signals to people my needs and the things
Yeah.
that I do need help with versus, oh, that's Melly, she got it, like there's no problem, I don't even need to check in on her about these things because I never expressed needing the help.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think I'm the same way. Like, I'm quick to delegate something at work. Like, get somebody else to do it. But in personal life, no, I'm like, there's a certain way that I want this done, and I'm not about to ask anybody to try to do it that way because then you're not gonna do it the way that I want it in the first place, and I'm still gonna have to
uh
do it myself.
okay, so that's a little bit different for me. For me, it's more like, well, I don't know if someone else is gonna want to do it anyway, so I don't
Yeah,
even ask. I don't necessarily have a particular way that I need for something to get done, but it's more like I don't know if someone is gonna want to do this anyway.
yeah.
But for you, you're a little bit more particular on those things.
Yeah, and I mean, like another example, I love to entertain. I'm always having some type of get together. I'll create a little Canva flyer for it, or send, a
Yes,
cute little text message with the
I
invite.
love getting those text messages.
I love that you love it. And you know, our friend Alex, she actually said to me one time, like, you know, I'm gonna come over early and help you. And I was like, no, that's okay. Like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, da 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 da. And she came over anyway, and she was like, okay, what you need me to do? And I was like, oh no, I'm good. I'm doing like five different things at once, and someone is literally sitting there, like, what do you need me to do? So like now, whenever I do have a get together or something like that, I don't know if you've noticed the difference, but I'm like, okay, who can confidently make some potato salad? Because I'm not doing that. Who can bring this? Or like BYOB, because I'm not making no spiked and mellow drinks tonight and stuff like that. So I think that like actually seeing that projected back, it that has helped me to kind of like slow down and be able to delegate in personal life too. But in other areas of personal life, I probably need to delegate more.
Yeah, but I mean that those couple baby steps will get you far, especially in your entertaining. And you also mentioned in the relationship that you have, it's like, okay, I can sit back for this thing. Like, this person wants to help me. Like,
Hmm.
and Alex, she made a point to do that because she can recognize the type of person you are. Like, okay, I know Ari needs help, but I know she's not going to ask for help. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
show up. So she's an amazing friend that way. But I think people generally, we're not like that.
Hmm.
Um, People generally don't think to go above and beyond. So I do think that it's up to us individually to ask for help in order to signal that, like, I'm open to being helped.
Yeah.
You can help me
Yeah.
with all this stuff. Um, and so on the previous episode that we were on together, we were talking a lot about marriage and like wanting to get married, and but having some advice of like don't ever get married, etc., from older
Yeah.
people in your life, mentors, elders in your life. Like, how do you feel about the institution of marriage 3 years later? Like, has anything evolved, or have you had any differing thoughts, or like kind of talk to me about that?
Yeah. So the last time that we spoke about this topic, I remember saying that I had a particular idea in my head of like, okay, if I'm not married by 35, then I'm not going to be married. If I don't have kids by the time I'm 35, then I'm not going to have kids. I don't want to be an older mom and all these other things. And I'm 36 now, still not married, still don't have kids. But I still aspire to it. I haven't lost my faith in love or anything like that. I very much want a family, very much want to spend my life with someone in the sanctity of marriage. So, those thoughts have not changed. I will say what has changed is um, being able to have introspection and like recognizing my like faults in relationships,
Hmm.
and how I would need to, you know, counteract those things going into a marriage. Because, of course, you can't be a passive aggressive person. This is something, of course, I have not been to therapy. I probably need to go back to therapy. In our last episode, I mentioned that like my therapist has been helping me a lot. I have not been seeing a therapist for the past few years, but I have been able to recognize that when things bother me, I may not necessarily say anything. And it might come up later, or either it's just sitting there and festering. And I'm expecting for the other person to just like know. And, I recognize that being in a serious relationship with someone and working towards marriage, that is not a very healthy thing to do. So I would say that, like, yes, I still want to be married, and I recognize as I've gotten older, like how much work it actually would be. But it still makes me excited to possibly do it one day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You were saying you recognize some of your faults
Mhm.
in relationships. Like, do you mean you're noticing where you can take responsibility for something going one way or another in a relationship? Like, it might not always be the other person's fault.
Oh yeah, like I said, with the passive aggressiveness, and I think just recognizing when something is not serving you, and not just staying
Mm,
for the sanctity of being in a relationship. I think that was a big one for me as I was looking back on like previous relationships I had been in. I stayed way too long. And there were signs. And there were even, having conversations with my friends, like they were trying to tell me the signs, and I was just like, "Oh no, it's okay. Like, we're not doing that no more."
we're not doing that no more. But I would say that, speaking for someone who's like on the outside looking in to someone's
Hmm.
relationship, there is a fine line that you want to walk where you don't
Yeah.
want to, shit on someone's relationship because you have no idea. Like, as someone look on the outside looking in, I don't know what's going on between two people in a relationship. So I think like we wanted to be there for you
Hmm.
until you were able to kind of make that decision. Because it wasn't, well, from the outside looking in, it didn't seem like it was physically dangerous or abusive
Yeah.
in any type of way, but it's like, okay, like we're gonna still show up for Ari as our friend and be there for her, and we know that she's eventually gonna be able to figure it out.
Hmm.
But I do like what you were saying about taking responsibility for how you are showing up in a relationship. That's something that I have been learning a lot more recently in the past, probably like 12 calendar months, and also going to the group therapy session, the single women who are dating intentionally. I had an episode about that come out recently, a couple weeks ago at this point, and a lot of it was us talking about how how do we show up in a dating situation, in a relationship. We're talking about like what are the things that we can control,
Hmm.
because we can never control another person. So what can you control? How you show up your expectations, how you communicate, a lot of those things. And I think that when you are doing that, that really helps to guide the relationship to like an upward trajectory, because
Yeah.
both people, hopefully the other person is doing the same thing, or at least looking at you for that example, vice versa. You can kind of feed off of each other and propel yourselves forward within that relationship versus, well, why is this other person not doing this? Like, don't they know what I'm thinking? Like, have you communicated that? Have you verbally said it? Maybe they don't know, no one is
Right.
a mind reader. And, we have to understand that we need to be vulnerable. And I know that it's difficult for a lot of us, but if you do want to be in a relationship, maybe working towards marriage, like those are things that we're really just gonna have to put ourselves out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I like that you brought up being vulnerable because, you know, um, we're in a soft girl era. And I think that some people think that being vulnerable is being weak. And I don't see it that way at all. And I think that with me shifting my mindset on how I navigate romantic relationships, I'm able to say, like, hey, this bothers me and I don't like that. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I used to think that, like, whenever I would bring up something that I don't like, I was automatically like, okay, well, I guess we get ready to break up because I'm finna tell him that I don't like this stuff and it's gonna turn into a big argument and like I don't like confrontation, so I'm just not gonna say anything. But like it's healthy to get that out. And it that is something else that has allowed me to be more content and slow down because I'm not so high strung thinking about all of the possibilities and letting my overthinking mind overthink even more.
Wow, that's huge. That's, I mean, because I remember in the previous episode you were talking about how maybe you would go like 6 months, 9 months without
Hmm.
verbalizing some of the things that you were thinking and feeling. And now that you're able to do that, like, I feel like that's gonna add years to your life, like
Man,
that stress,
yeah.
like relieving that stress from yourself, because you're like, okay, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. I can communicate this in a way, and if this person is wanting to work on this relationship, hopefully they're going to be in it with me and we can move forward. And now this person knows more about me because of what I brought up, and we can work
Hmm.
through it.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just having a conversation with my honey last night, and of course, there are things that everyone does that might make you say like, "Oh, now why the hell is he doing that?" Or like anybody. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but there's something that he does that I do not like, and every time he
Mhm.
does it, I verbalize it and I say, "Hey, I've told you that I do not like that. Please stop doing that." And last night we had a conversation and I kind of put on my little fake therapist hat and I'm like, why do you think you do that? Can we get to the bottom of this, please? And that is not a conversation that I would have had with someone even 2 years ago. So I commend myself for that.
Period. Period. Yeah, like let's talk about it. Let's try to get to the bottom of whatever is going on, because like there's no judgment, no reason to judge how you got there, because this show was all about
Mhm.
how did you get there, me in the making. But if it's something that we can rectify, let's do that.
Okay.
Um and at least you know that you brought everything to the fore that you could, versus like, man, maybe if I had said something a couple months ago, I wouldn't feel like this.
Yeah.
And you said you put on your therapist hat. So like, but you haven't been going to therapy for the past
Mm.
couple years. Like, was there any reason why you had stopped going to therapy?
Well, I felt like I wasn't meshing with the therapist that I had. And now it's just a matter of me like really sitting down and finding a therapist. Of course, I've reached out with a couple inquiries, and either they were fully booked or it just wasn't able to happen. But that is something that I'm very strong about obtaining in 2026. Like I really want to be able to talk to someone regularly, and I mean, I guess kind of validate my own self therapy sessions.
Validate, either validate or correct.
Exactly. Right.
I love that. You know what? You're like, I've been doing great. And like maybe two or three things that you think that you've figured out or solved. The therapist is like, well, it's actually the opposite. Or well,
Right.
I can I can see that happening. Um, so you think you kind of outgrew your former therapist?
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that there's a difference between um I guess emphasizing, and we kind of talked about this in the last episode too, like emphasizing with someone and actually just like
Mm.
listening to them vent and everything. And I feel like if I'm paying you and you my therapist, like, and I'm venting to you about uh my dog getting on my nerves, I don't want to hear you say like, yeah, girl, my dog be getting on my nerves too, and like, no.
No, wait. No, not for like this is not a key. You are not my girlfriend. We're not friends here.
This is not a Kiki baby girl.
You're like, okay, I do this sometimes with my friends, but I'm not looking for you, the therapist, to do that with me.
Because I don't pay my friends.
Right. Yeah. So I do think, I mean, my first therapist, I have moved on from my first therapist. This was back
Hmm.
in 2020, but I outgrew her as well. And I think that's sometimes par for the course, like when you are really showing up and doing the work, then I think sometimes you will outgrow your therapist because maybe you're
Yeah.
moving beyond their area or scope of expertise or what they're kind of used to, what their practice is on. And you might just have to find a new one. And I feel like you have been doing the work throughout these past couple years. Like you haven't given up on yourself. It's like you're
Yeah.
still showing up, doing that internal work and being introspective and also talking to your friends. I know like you've been talking to your mom about different things and it's like
Mm.
I'm progressing. I'm moving forward. Um Wait, but we never really talked about your house. Like congratulations
Thank
on
you.
buying your house. This is one of the rooms in your house. And
Yes.
like what was that process like?
Oh man. We spoke about like having certain milestones and timelines that we subconsciously feel like we need to meet, and being able to live on my own and going beyond living on my own, because I've been doing that for a number of years, but like being able to call something mine
Hmm.
before I, you know, hypothetically get married or whatever, like that has always been my goal. So like being able to buy my own house, like no co-signer, like this is mine. Like oh, I'll still just like get chills whenever I pull into the garage, or like, okay, what do I want to do with my backyard next spring and stuff like that. It feels good.
Yeah, it's your sanctuary. Like you
Hmm.
very hard for that and built it up and it's a beautiful home. Like I've been over there many
Thank
times.
you.
Thank you for welcoming me into your home and it's just like each room feels like but also inviting and people know when they walk in like we about to have a good time. Like even
Hmm.
even in the previous episode when you were saying your friends will say like whenever I come over it's a vibe, and then we were talking about the different apartments that you've had and now you've been able to lay those roots. um I mean, you're in your hometown, but like lay those roots even more so of this
Hmm.
this is what I've been working for and this is what I'm building it up to be. So like you had mentioned, like, oh, what do I want to do in my backyard for this next year, or whatever? Like, what do you look forward to in the next, like, however long that you want to have this home?
Yeah. Oh man, I just have like so many different ideas that I want to execute. Like I've had paint swatches on my walls for like the past year because I want to paint the entire first and second floor. I have one of my bedrooms that I turned into a closet and a beauty room, which has also always been like a goal of mine. Like, when I get my own house, I'm gonna have an entire room turned closet, and I was able to do that. But I want to kind of like revamp it and make it a little bit more posh and boutique, and like get the little, the drawers and the cabinets, and put all of my shoes and my purses on display and such. I eventually want to build a deck or like a little paved patio area in my backyard. I want to add a half bath to the basement because,
Okay.
again, I entertain a lot and I don't
Mhm.
want people to have to go upstairs to use the restroom and stuff like that. So, man, so many different things. But on a smaller scale, again, my mind is always working. I'm always thinking of things that I need to do or want to do. I have a linen closet in my hallway between the guest bedroom and the kitchen, and I don't have a pantry. So my next
Hmm.
project that I'll be able to execute myself is turning that linen closet into a pantry and like moving the linen closet elsewhere. So little things like
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah, that's a great idea.
hmm
Yeah, because I know that I mean, you love to cook, you
Love
love to, and right now, one of your creative endeavors has been baking. Like, you love
it.
to feed people, welcome people into your home. Like, what does, where, if you're going to be having a pantry, where do you keep all that stuff now? Or do you imagine it like growing even more?
Well, knowing me, it's probably going to grow even more with me having a pantry. But as of right now, I mean, I have a lot of stuff on my countertops, and I already
Oh,
don't have
okay.
a lot of counter space.
I
So
see.
I envision, like, with me having an actual pantry, I'll be able to put a lot more things away to free up that counter space. And things like my small appliances, like my juicer and my crock pot and stuff like that. I when I'm done using it, I have to go put it in the storage room in the basement. And like now I can, just put it on the floor in the pantry and it'll be closer to me and stuff like that.
Yes, that would be so nice. Oh my goodness. To declutter your kitchen area, like your countertops,
hmm
that's a major goal. I feel like for any adult. Like, these are the things that we dream about now. Like, we're not dreaming about whatever. What did I dream about as a kid? I can't even remember now because it's like, oh, clear counter spaces. Like, that's a lot. Like a deep closet. That's what I would love. Like,
Yeah, I
these
think
are the things we dream about.
we had this conversation. This was probably over a year ago at this point, but sometimes we have like our little random question of the days. And I think it was like, what was something when you were younger and like you saw it either in your house or someone else's house, and you were like, oh man, I know they rich, or like I know that they doing big things. And for me, most of the places that I lived in when I was younger, we always had a dishwasher. So like
Mm.
I learned about washing dishes. Of course, I had chores as a child, but when I was looking for a house, there were definitely things on my wish list. Like the apartment I was living in before I moved into my house did not have a dishwasher. So I was like, I'm getting me a dishwasher when I move into a house. I was parking on the street in the apartment that I stayed in before. The house I'm moving into, I don't even want no carport. I need a garage. I need something where you can't even see if I'm at home. Like stuff like that. So
Get a little
I'm very
secretive.
grateful. Yeah, you don't do no pop-ups at my house either.
No,
Like
no, no, thank
mm-mm.
you.
Unless you are invited, you will not know that I'm home.
Yes, yes. I mean, those things to make your life more feasible. I feel like, going
Hmm.
back to that delegating, like I'm going to delegate these dishes to this dishwasher. I'm going to delegate
Okay.
me not having to shoo people out of my home because they can't even see that I'm home. Like no one
Hmm.
needs to be knocking on my door. I'm going to delegate um having a washer dryer in home. I'm going to delegate that to this.
Yes.
I don't have to go to the laundromat. I can multitask while these clothes are in the laundry. Like those things, um, and they are privileged things. Like they are things that do cost extra money, especially living in a city. Well, I can't even say that nowadays because I feel like you move to the most out of the way rural place in the U.S. and it still costs a lot of money to live there. So
Hmm.
it's definitely something to understand what it is that you need in order to like move forward. And it's like, okay, these are the things that are on my checklist, and I'm going to check it off and make sure that I'm able to have that in one way or another eventually, hopefully. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think on the flip side of like thinking about the luxuries that you would like to have in dwelling, you also are faced with the realities of becoming a homeowner after you have been a renter. Because, like, you can't just call up your landlord and tell him that your
Mm.
pipe is dripping. You got to figure it out, or either delegate and call someone else. And I mean, when I first moved in, yes, having a in-unit washer and dryer was like a godsend. But I didn't have it for like 3 weeks, even though I actually had the washer and dryer sitting in the laundry room because I bought gas instead of electric and had to figure out how to get it hooked up. And like,
Oh no.
yeah, and
Those
you
are
have
the
to think
little
about
things.
things like that. Yeah, it's like,
Right.
okay, you want gas or you want electric, and even like the other day, I've been in this house for 2.5 years at this point, and just last night I pulled the filter out of my HVAC the first time. This is something that you're supposed to change at least once a season.
No.
I'm just a girl.
How did you even know now that what
So
made you pull it out?
I was randomly having a conversation with my auntie, and she was like, "Oh, did you change your HVAC filter when it got cold outside?" And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Did you change your filter?" And I was like, "No." And then I was talking to my honey about it, and he was like, "You haven't changed your filter?" And I was like, "If I'm being completely honest, I don't even know where it is." So he
I'm
pulled
just a
it.
girl.
I'm just a girl. So he pulled it out for me and he was like, okay, take a picture of this. You need to take this to Menards or Home Depot. This is the size that you, this is how you like put it back into the HVAC machine once you buy a new one. And like, I have a pet. So like that
Oh,
thing was
yes.
filthy because it was collecting everything.
Oh, could if you didn't change it, could it eventually start a fire, or is it just not gonna be working as efficiently?
I have no doubt that it probably would have it ended badly.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay. Well, great that you know now. Yeah, like
yeah.
those are the things where it's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." But I think it kinda harkens back to asking for help, like, "Oh,
Hmm.
maybe I should talk to some other homeowner friends or family who I have in my life to see, like, what are the things that I should know?" That,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, how could you like, is there when you're closing, do they give you some kind of, like, homeowner's manual or something? No? You're just on
No.
your own.
And I mean, go back to that process of buying a home, like you think of things and like you are put in these situations that you don't even consider. It's like, okay, you have to get an appraiser and someone to come and inspect your house before you can close. And then, like, if the inspector sees things that you want changed or that technically need to be changed to bring the house to code before selling, then we send the seller back a punch list. And like just learning about all these different terms and like your interest rate, is that good? Is that bad? Like, okay, how do you appreciate value in your house by like changing little things? And okay, you should be doing this by year one, and like your house should be valued at this, and then like having to pay attention to the increased property taxes and all of that. Like, I I still am like, I'm just a girl.
I mean, wow, even running that down like that, I think that'll help people who are listening who are maybe thinking about buying a home and they're like, okay, let me write some of these things down and see what she's talking about here because these are the I need to know about this. Um,
Yeah.
so I can't believe some it's we've been talking for 50 minutes already. It doesn't even feel like that. But I do want to ask you in these last few minutes here that we have together, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to talk about, something that you've been going through in your evolution in these past few years, or anything that you wanted to talk about?
Oh man. I think just like having grace with yourself. Like, life really doesn't need to be as hard as you make it seem. And again, I am a chronic overthinker. So like I tend to make my life kind of hard. But I mean, it's okay to just have grace with yourself. Like, you're not gonna have it all figured out, even though like I joke around and I consider myself middle aged since they have changed the life expectancy to like 73. I'm like, I guess I'm middle aged now at 36, which is crazy. But like just thinking about life and how I thought it was going to go, and like even still thinking about how I want it to go, like, yeah, I can still aspire to those things, but even if it doesn't happen, it's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay. Um Listening to my body again, in case I need to sit down, but also listening to my body in ways that I need to advocate for myself. I recently excuse me, I recently had my second fibroid surgery in the past 2 years. And like, even with that, it's like I knew that something was wrong. And like, I kept telling my doctor, and she's like, okay, like, let's get some tests, let's do it. And knowing that that is now going to change how I could possibly look at motherhood, and how a child will be able to come into the world, and like opening the conversation with friends and women in my family surrounding fibroids, and like how common it is. I knew that it was, at the forefront of Black women medicine, but I did not realize how prevalent it was amongst people that I knew personally. So like it was just crazy to think about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fibroids affects, I don't even know what the percentage is with Black women, but I know that I think it's the highest amongst any demographic.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you saying, like that curiosity that you had and awareness about your body, advocating for yourself with your doctor, and then being able to talk to other people in your life about that. I think opening up that conversation is going to help you a great deal because now you're not going to be in the dark. At least, at
Hmm.
the very least, it it won't be something surprising to you if you're like, okay, now I need to deal with that, and going through that experience for the second time. I mean, I can only imagine how frustrating that was. But I love that you were just like there for yourself and speaking up. Because I know that dealing with the the healthcare industry like can be very daunting and very scary,
Yeah.
and you kind of feel like you're out there alone. But I love that you were like, no, I'm gonna step up. And I think that goes circles back to the confidence that you were speaking about earlier, the older you've gotten, the more confident you feel. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to speak up. Even if I don't know all the answers, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to speak up because if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it for me. So I need to speak up.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Ari.
Oh,
Um, this was so good. Thank you so much for coming back on the Me in the Making podcast, and tell people where you would like them to follow you if you want that. If
yeah.
let them know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are like, no thanks. This is they give me for this hour, and that's about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me back again. It was so refreshing to like listen to my old episode and then like come and do this new episode and
Yes.
baby still kikiing, just talking. Uh but yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at the Arie Iman, TheArieIman.
Yay. Yes, yes, yes. And this episode will be coming out in a couple weeks. So people, if you've made it to the end, please give Me in the Making a 5-star rating, leave a review, share with your friends and family, open up the discussion about your health or about your home ownership dreams and goals. Open up the conversation to people. People are willing to help. People like to talk. Just like, don't be afraid. I was listening to this podcast episode and they were talking about people falling in love with their AI companion. And I know it's very easy, but please reach out to a person to talk to.
Yes.
I'm begging you. I'm begging you, please. But anyway, that took a different turn. I'll talk about that, I'm sure, in another episode. But thank you all for listening, and we'll see y'all later. Bye. Bye, Ari. This has been another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. Please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend, tell a family member. We all deserve to grow and change and become our best selves, whatever that might look like to you. And please connect on Instagram at Making Me Pod, on TikTok. You can email me at meli@makingmepod.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. And yeah, I'm just having such a great time. I'm so happy to have been able to launch this video episode for you all, and come again. Bye.